Time for the weekly market update of what's going on in the real estate world that's worth knowing about. And you know me, I'm trying to keep these short and sweet. Today's going to be probably a pretty easy one, um, especially if I've got the cat locked out of his litter box. We may have to hurry this one up. Anyway, all right. So here's what's going on. So this is going to be real short and sweet because it's one slide, but it kind of brings everything that we're looking at, I think, into pretty good perspective here, and it's kind of worth at least a brief discussion here. So this article came out. I saw it this morning. It came out whenever it came out over the weekend or something, a few days ago. So fourth quarter GDP was revised down to 0.7, which is not awesome for those keeping score at home. But January core inflation was 3.1%. So what does that mean? Let's kind of unpack this a little bit because it's sort of a tale of two sides of the coin here, right? In terms of as it relates to housing and the real estate world, this kind of boils down to what's going to happen with mortgage rates, right? And then thus supply demand on the real estate activity within the market. So that said, GDP down, right? So we are near stall speed, if you will, right? So we're not constricting, but we're really not growing either. So normally, in a normal setting, normal market, all things equal, this would be a good time to start seeing mortgage rates drop, right? Because you're going to see, maybe get doing more rate cuts or other activities, be some good downward pressure on mortgage rates to try to, rates in general, right? Long-term borrowing rates to try to stimulate the economy, get things going. A side byproduct of that then would then be plummeting mortgage rates. So that's normally good news, at least where I sit, at least for the seats of all of my buyers and to some extent sellers from the kind of the rebound side of life. So that's normally a good thing. However, then we've got January core inflation that's up 3.1%. So that's higher than where the Fed wants it to be, right? I think their ideal mark is somewhere around the 2% range. I'm looking at a couple of my fellow data nerds are going to chime in at some point and tell me, but I think 2% is kind of the target number where they want to see the core inflation. So here's how we look at core inflation. Here's sort of the problem, right? So with core inflation, as inflation rises, mortgage rates are going to rise with it, right? So those two are going to kind of go in the same cycle. GDP is, same kind of thing. So as GDP is going down, wants to drag mortgage rates down. Inflation's going up, it wants to pull mortgage rates back up. We're stuck. So welcome to the term of stagflation, right? We've got upward and downward pressure at the same time, so we look to be stuck. The fun distinction here, which is going to kind of make this for all the fellow data nerds out there and economy nerds, is it's the core inflation that's up pretty hot, pretty heated. So core inflation, what that is basically goods and services across the board, but they take out food and energy. And why? Well, go fill up your car at the gas station. You're going to understand volatility, right? So I was driving around just the other day over the weekend showing houses and getting keys for clients, and I saw prices anywhere from mid fours up to I think mid to upper sixes price per gallon. So the $6 arguably a convenience store, but still a little gut wrenching to see that in the Portland metro area. So we have extreme volatility. So they back those pieces out. So they just want to look at sort of the things are going to run at more of a steady burn. How do those inflationary pressures really stack up? Now, 40 some odd percent of core inflation then is housing related, right? So basically it's cost of shelter, whether it's rents paid from renters or kind of the owner equivalent rent or something like that is what they call it. Basically, how much would it cost you as a homeowner to rent your own home? And they've got math and logic that they use for that. So they do that's sort of a lagging indicator, right? Because we need, it's going to take time as the markets spike or drop in value. It takes time for that data point to kind of drift forward. So call almost a year, probably 6 months to a year of a lag built in on that measure. The problem becomes, what if the market is just kind of perfectly flat, right? So we've been doing these videos for a while now, and housing values across the metro area are staying pretty stagnant. Really across the country, there's some markets that are going down, right? Austin was kind of ground zero for a while. I think they've kind of stabilized a bit, but we're seeing a lot of stability in overall housing values, right? Portland, Vancouver, absolutely dead solid, if not up on the Vancouver side. So what that's going to mean now is we're going to have sort of the sustained pressure of that inflation running a little bit hot, because what's going to soften 40 some odd percent of that number in housing? I don't see much that's going to drop it down in a significant way, which means we need dramatic drops in all the other variables of inflation to offset that, to get mortgage rates to come back down. So long story short, I think we're kind of stuck with rates for a while. So it kind of goes back to, if you are trying to time this of, I need to buy or sell a house, whatever you need to do or want to do, but hey, I'm waiting for 5.5% mortgage rates, 5%. I just don't, because I think we're going to be sitting at this kind of low sixes to high fives probably for the foreseeable future. This may be just kind of the new normal going forward, just because we are pretty much stuck at these rates. So that's sort of your inflationary check in on mortgage rates. The other piece I want to kind of chime in, since I do want to kind of keep this local, at least to some extent, is I do like to talk about sort of that boots on the ground approach. What am I seeing in the market area, right? I get asked this quite a lot. Right? How's the market? What are you seeing? Are people still buying houses? People still selling houses? Hey, Jeff, I've seen more houses popping up lately. So I've got a number of client searches. I probably have 20 some odd client searches going on right now for homes. And in some cases, I'm just sort of checking markets, see what's going on. I can tell you over the past couple of weeks, multiple ones of those searches all across Portland metro area have absolutely blown up in activity in terms of new listings or price reductions or things of that nature. But a lot of it's been new listings hitting the market. So we're seeing sort of that selling season's picking up. So as you're a buyer, you're getting that kind of increased volume of selection and choices. That's a really good thing. Now, as I'm taking buyers around, I'm seeing a variety of price points. As we check in on different homes, I am seeing a multitude of homes that are starting to get multiple offers that first weekend. So it's not to sound the alarm that here we go again, but the common denominator on where I'm seeing those things popping up are, you look at, let's say, for example, I was out the other day looking at homes with a first time home buyer, looking sort of that mid 500s kind of a price point. We saw 4 or 5 homes. 2 of them were really good homes. The rest, yeah, but 2 of them were good. Both of those, multiple offers, and they're already calling. I think one had a due date of yesterday. The other one's this morning. So those aren't surprising. The good homes are going to get good traction. Those that are not, I would say, A quality homes, but they have the A quality price, those are going to sit. So it's real important to make sure that pricing is right. And if you're looking to buy, make sure you're doing this with your heads up of saying, this is a good home. It feels priced appropriately. Be ready to move quick, because I just don't see a lot of good quality homes sitting for very long in this market. There you go. 7 minutes. I thought I could get this done in 5. All right, there you go. I'm long-winded. So that's your market check-in. That's kind of what's going on. If at any time you guys have any questions of kind of thoughts, opinions, hey Jeff, why don't you ever talk about this, or what's your thoughts on that, or what are you seeing in this? Shoot me a text. Shoot me, drop me a note. Whatever. I get feedback from quite a few of you, and I always do appreciate that. So appreciate you watching these, and I'm always happy to talk about anything that people truly care about. Otherwise, I'm just kind of talking about what I see happening in the market that I think is worth knowing. All right, that's it for now. Have a great week. I think it's gonna be beautiful weather today, so thank God. So go out and enjoy it, and I'll see you next time. Appreciate it.